Students, in today's lesson we talk about the civil rights movement. At the conclusion of last lesson we talked about Brown versus the Board of Education and how in that famous Supreme Court ruling the Supreme Court said that separate was not equal and therefore segregation and Jim Crow laws in the South were essentially illegal. But what changed? Very little. And as you witness with the Little Rock Nine, it's because a lot of white folks in the Deep South were not going to allow this change to take place. Along with the Little Rock Nine, another example of such was the story of Ruby Bridges. She was a young African American girl who met the same kind of opposition when she attempted to attend an all-white school. This is why the civil rights movement was necessary, because things did not change. I love to talk about the civil rights movement. Why? Because it involves everyday, normal American citizens. We're not talking about rich people or powerful people, business owners, politicians, famous celebrities, none of that. We're talking about everyday American citizens, sometimes younger than you, who were willing and able to use their First Amendment rights to fix an ill in our society. And as long as that pathway is in place, then, now, and forever, where people can use their freedom of speech, the press, assembly, and petition, do it in a peaceful way, and make positive change in our society, our democracy is in good shape and is in good hands. A lot of the civil rights movement has to do with our interpretation of the 14th Amendment. When we passed the 14th Amendment, which says that as long as you're a citizen, you have equal protection under the law, we interpreted it about this narrowly. With Plessy v. Ferguson saying that separate but equal was okay, we put it in a box. We started to expand that box with Brown versus the Board of Education. And one of the biggest successes and most important successes of the civil rights movement was the Civil Rights Act of 1964, where we said that discrimination in our society is illegal because it violates the 14th Amendment. If anybody ever asks you, is discrimination illegal in the United States? We can say no. Why? Because how we interpret the 14th Amendment today is that you cannot discriminate based on race, gender, age, sex, sexual orientation. You can't discriminate in our country. The 24th Amendment is what started to widen our interpretation. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 is what started to widen our interpretation of the 14th Amendment, things that we still benefit from to this day. In this lesson, you have a few things to do. First, simply look at the slideshow, answer a few questions. Then you're going to watch some video clips about events in the civil rights movement. A lot of famous stories in there. I think you'll like it. And if you have some time on your hands, at the bottom of this, there is an extra credit assignment where you learn about the Children's March in Birmingham, Alabama. That's it for this lesson. And remember, eat your vegetables. Do at least 30 minutes of exercise a day and take care of yourselves.